For 2024, I had to replace some gear that would have been dangerous or unreasonable for me to take on my PCT thru hike from Mexico to Yosemite National Park. These are the 5 big ticket items I had to replace and why. My old hiking shirt was the Patagonia Tropic Comfort 2, and my new one is the Evolved Supply Co. The Mirage. I've had the Patagonia Tropic Comfort for the past 3 years, and I've hiked probably 700 to 800 miles in it. It's absolutely amazing, but they don't make this anymore. It's starting to show some wear and tear, and I really need to replace it. Last year on my 500 mile thru hike of the Colorado Trail, I wore in quite a lot of holes in the arm. This shirt is sun bleached now that you can actually see where my backpack lays on my back. This sun hoodie has seen better days, and I honestly don't think it will last another 1,000-mile hike. So to avoid me getting burnt to a crisp, I decided to replace this before I go on the hike next year. Evolve Supply Co. came out with the Mirage a few months ago and I jumped on it. It's made of 95% merino wool and it feels like I'm wearing pajamas. It is so comfortable to hike in. It almost feels like I shouldn't be wearing it for such a dirty occasion. I cannot wait to hike in this thing. Next is my rain jacket. My old rain jacket is the Regatta Packet Jacket, and my new one is the Light Heart Gear Rain Jacket. I've had my old jacket for about 10 years now, and I've taken it all over the world. It packs down to a really small size. I really didn't see a reason to replace this jacket until last year where I had a terrible week that convinced me I had to get a new rain jacket. A friend and I were hiking on the Colorado Trail, and monsoon season had just begun. It was our final 100 miles on the trail, and we got rain the entire day for 5 days straight, and this jacket would wet out around lunch. My jacket would be completely soaked and all my clothes underneath were soaked for hours of hiking. It was a horrible experience that finally convinced me I probably deserve to get a waterproof jacket that can handle weather like that. So I got a jacket from a cottage company. This is the Light Heart Gear Rain Jacket, and it is insanely light. This is like 6 ounces, I think. However, with how light it is, the material is non-breathable and completely waterproof. So as long as there's no tears in it, this will be waterproof for its entire lifetime. Next are my puffy jackets. My old one was the Patagonia Nano Puff, and my new one is the Enlightened Equipment Torrid. The Patagonia Nano Puff has been an amazing jacket. However, it takes up a ton of space in my backpack, where space is a premium. And on my last hike, I really didn't use this jacket too much. For how much space this takes up in my backpack, it really wasn't worth it. It's also not as warm as some of my other jackets. The one redeeming quality about this jacket is that it's made of synthetic down, so if it gets wet, it'll still stay warm. My new jacket is the Enlightened Equipment Torrid, and this thing is insanely light. It's made of a whole entire sheet of foam, and it's gonna be a lot warmer and take up way less space than my last jacket. The reason that convinced me to get a new jacket is I'm going to be hiking through the Sierra Mountains when there's going to be a lot of snow. So I really need a jacket that I can rely on, which will be nice and warm on those cold nights when it could get down to 30 or 20 degrees at night. Alright, now into the fun stuff. My old backpack was the Palante V2, and my new backpack is the Atom Pack's Atom Plus. I absolutely love the Palante V2. This bottom pocket especially is amazing for me. I put all my snacks down here for the day and I just eat whenever I want to on the trail. This steak pocket here is also amazing. I put steaks in here and my poop shovel in there, so everything that has dirt on it just stays in one contained area on the outside of my backpack. These shoulder pockets are also really nice. I would put my sunglasses, my headphones, my phone, anything that I would want throughout the day in these pockets, and they're super convenient. These are some of the features that I wanted to carry over to my next backpack, and they did. The only problem with this backpack is that it's 37 liters and I couldn't fit my gear inside of it very well. With just my 20-degree quilt and my puffy jacket, that would take up a third to half of the room in my backpack. When I had to pack 5 days worth of food for a backpacking trip, I would have trouble closing this backpack. The Pacific Crest Trail has 5 distinct sections: the California Desert, the Sierra Mountains, Northern California, Oregon, and Washington State. The most unusual of those sections being the California Desert and the Sierra Mountains. The first 700 miles of the PCT goes through the desert, where you have to carry 4 to 5 liters of water at a time. That's over 10 pounds of water. My old backpack can carry about 20 to 25 pounds worth of weight comfortably. That means with 10 pounds of food and 10 pounds of water, I really have no wiggle room for extra pieces of gear. I needed a backpack that would carry the weight a lot more comfortably. The next section of the PCT is the Sierra Mountains. This section is known to most as being the hardest section of the PCT. It's required to carry a bare canister, and it's recommended you also carry an ice axe and micro spikes for your feet. This adds 5 additional pounds to your pack, and you have to carry 5 days worth of food at times. It is possible to carry a bare canister in my old backpack, but I don't think my gear would be able to make that work. So I decided to get a bigger backpack with room for a bear canister and extra room for food and all of that. And it has a bottom pocket too. It's like, I need that on all my next backpacks. It's just so nice. Next up is my tent. My old tent is the REI Flash Air 1, and my new one is the Z-Packs Duplex that I got used. My old tent costs $250, holds one person, and it weighs 1 pound. That's an insanely good deal for someone who wants an ultralight backpack or is just starting out. There's only one downside to this tent though, and it's pretty huge. The condensation issues on this tent are really bad. I would keep the door open most nights, and if I didn't, I would have walls that were just covered with condensation. This tent requires a lot of extra airflow to function properly. For the price though, I was a big fan of this tent until the last week of the Colorado Trail. I was soaking wet throughout the entire day, and all I wanted to do by the end of the day is just get in my dry tent, set up my sleeping bag, and just relax in my nice, cozy, warm sleeping bag. However, this tent with its condensation issues had other ideas. The walls of this tent were completely wet, and I could not stop my sleeping bag from touching the walls. Since this tent is so narrow, I would have a 2-inch margin on either side of my legs. So if I moved around a little bit or I got off of my sleeping pad, I would touch the walls and the footbox of my sleeping bag would be soaking wet. I upgraded to a used Z-Packs Duplex, which is the gold standard for through hiking. Before I got this tent, I was debating getting the Durston X-Mid Pro. It seems like it's kind of the perfect tent right now, but when I found out someone was selling their Z-Packs Duplex for $250, I couldn't resist. This tent is amazing, and I cannot wait to put another 1,000 miles on this tent. As you can see, the bag is pretty worn, so I'm probably gonna have to get a new bag. If you want to see the full gear list I used on the Colorado Trail, check out this video. Coming up, I'll be posting my PCT gear list, so be on the lookout for that.